Hello and welcome to another wonderful episode of Ask a STEM Sister. Today, you've got me, Ami Bakare, and we have a wonderful, amazing guest, Lauren Nwegbo, and she can correct me if she joins and I've said it wrong because I'm all for people saying names correctly. So she can correct me. But we are so excited to have her on the show today. We have not had a cybersecurity person, and I've been looking and looking, and I'm so happy to have her here to give us a little bit of insight into what it is that she does. So let me go on ahead and get into reading her bio for all of you. So, Lauren is a dedicated cybersecurity professional who is helping companies protect their customers. Lauren holds a Bachelor's of Applied Arts and Sciences degree from Texas State University, where she majored in general studies. She also holds a Certified Information Systems Auditor certification. Lauren's brand, Cybher Sister, is committed to educating and empowering everyday people to know the basics of protecting their information in an ever-changing technological environment. Cybher Sister's mission is to ensure technology users have the necessary knowledge and tools to navigate confidently and securely online. What a bio! Welcome, Lauren.
Hey, Amy, thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
Yay! All right. So you have quite an impressive journey and obviously a very exciting field that you're in. And so I'm curious, just off your bio, how did you get from, a general studies background to being into cybersecurity? What did undergrad look like for you? And then what sparked your interest into getting involved with cybersecurity?
Good question. So I was in college. I was an athlete. So the first 3 years in my college career, I ran track and fields, and then after that, I retired from track and fields. And my dad got his computer science degree in the '80s, so we have just been tech has really been a big part of our life, like basically since the internet came out when we got a computer in our computer room. And my dad kind of influenced me to start taking like certifications, and I took a lot of like coding classes. That's when I realized I didn't like to code at that, but I took a lot of like coding classes and a lot of tech classes, and I was given an entry level job into doing what I'm doing now. So I originally wanted to do sports psychology. I love psychology. I love sport. I got injured, and just understanding how the human mind worked after recovering from an injury was something that I was interested in. But the path wasn't necessarily laid out. It was a pretty new science or pretty new study, and so that's kind of when I shifted my focus to tech. So that's how I got here.
Wonderful. Okay. That's awesome. So what we love to do on this channel is to highlight like that not straight path just because nobody's path is like ever straight. I mean, I feel like some people you go where the wind takes you, and so we love that here. So I would love for you to now tell us, we talk about cybersecurity for those who don't know what that is or what somebody does when they're involved in cybersecurity. Could you just tell us a little bit about what your day to day looks like, a little bit about what cybersecurity is, and what you love the most about it?
Sure, absolutely. So I always say that, like we were just saying, tech and cybersecurity are essentially fraternal twins, right? Now you can't have one without the other, but they are different realms. So I work in tech, but specifically, excuse me, I work in cybersecurity. And cybersecurity is basically the protection of our technology and in protection of being online. And that's in the simplest form what it is. So in my profession, what I do in my day to day is called an IT auditor. And IT auditors essentially, depending on the company build, they test to make sure, they test to make sure that your company has limited vulnerabilities in your systems that hold critical data, whether it's in healthcare, so for patients, for customers, for clients. So when you see these large data breaches that says, hey, 300 million customers were affected in this breach. Well, my job is usually to audit these systems that hold all those customers' information to make sure that companies have protections or things that we call controls in place to limit the ability to get cyber attacked. We always say that you can't eliminate all risk, but you want to remediate, or you want to, you want to limit as much risk as possible, so that you're reducing the chances of getting cyber attacked. So that's what I do in my day to day. I talk to, I'm an internal auditor, so I am basically independent of my company. I work for the company, but we have our own department because we audit the company. And so I speak with the different business units that are in charge of these systems, and I speak with them on a day to day to get them evidence, for them to get me evidence, so I can test to make sure that, again, their systems are safe, and I give recommendations. And so that's when I speak with stakeholders and C-suite level executives, CEOs, CFOs, let them know what I found, give them a time in which they have to remediate the problem based off of its criticality, and then give them a recommendation on how to fix it. So that's what I do in my day to day. I love what I do. So tech is, cybersecurity, you do have the technical side of it, right? So you can have DevSecOps, so those people who create the systems and put the security controls in place. And I think that's what most people think of, that little hacker guy in the black hoodie. When they think of that, that is what you do. But there is also parts that are more compliance based, or governance, risk and compliance based. And that's the side that I'm on.
And everybody loves audits. So I'm sure that you're like a fan favorite there.
Oh, and it's like, oh my gosh, I'm about to, oh, you don't have to be scared of me. And being internal, it's funny because, yeah, everyone's like, they see your name and they're like, she's either going to ask me for something or they're going to tell me something's wrong. I just try to be nice, and I just kind of bribe my people. Like, I bribe them with like Starbucks gift cards. Because I don't want it to be miserable, though. The point isn't to show that you're not doing your job. The point is to protect people. And so I just kind of let that be the point of the conversation.
Nice. I love that you hit on like, that most people think of like the person in the hoodie, like the hacker, like that's what people think of. And I love that you also mentioned that you knew that you didn't want to do coding, because honestly, if you know my story, that wasn't my thing either. In undergrad, or honestly, even in graduate school, I was like, I'm not in love with this part. If I could do something else, can I do it? Yes. Do I want to do this every day? No. But you said what?
Shout out to the people who do, though. It's not just for me. Yeah.
Shout out to the people who do. We need you. But I love highlighting that you can be in this tech space and not be that person that is the doer. So I've said previously, you could be the doer, you could facilitate the doing, or you could be on like your side where now you like audit. Like there's a lot of different like lenses that you can get into to be involved in this space. And so I think it's important to highlight those. So thank you for sharing that. Now, also about your job, but something that we have not touched on is contracts. And I really want to get into this because, as we talked about before the call, just like, people see like somebody working on the beach, or like somebody sees like, somebody like, oh, I can work anywhere. And like, I have so much flexibility and freedom, which you might if you do like contract work. But I'm curious, like, tell us about your experience with it, as well as how do you balance it all? And does it look like what people portray on Instagram?
To answer your last question, no. It does not look like that. I wish I could be on a beach. There are times where it is a little bit slower. So as a contractor, and I do want people to know, so let's go back to the first question. Contracting can look so many ways. So you can be a W-2, meaning that, you can still get your W-2 from the employer. You can be an employee of that company, and still get benefits, right? Or you can be a 1099, which means you're a strictly contractor. You do your own taxes. You don't get company credit cards. You don't have a company phone. You pay for everything out of pocket, and it's essentially being self-employed. Like, you file your taxes quarterly. So it depends. It depends on what you want to do. It depends on where you are. I would say that for the most part, contracting is more freedom in that, when you're full-time employee, whether you work your 25 hours or 40 hours a week, you're going to get, your paycheck every 2 weeks, but as a contractor, if I just didn't work that week, I just won't bill that week. And that's where you can see that flexibility. So if you see them on the beach that week, hey, they may not be working that week. They may not have gotten paid that week. So, you have to understand the differences, and when they reach out to you, you have to understand what they're asking. So do you even want to work that much? What's the duration? You have to understand that if people are letting you go, you're going to be the first to get let go. So you have to understand the complexities of being a contractor on the financial side and on the business side of things, because you're independent. You're there, right? Even your VPN connection into the company is going to be different because you're not an employee. You don't work there. So people have to understand that it's different, but it can be very rewarding. And like I said, depending on what you do, first of all. So if you're a contractor and you're a developer, depending on the company you work for, you're probably really busy, because they're going to keep you busy because they're going to pay you a lot per hour. Pay you a lot
Yes.
per hour. So you're going to be busy. Now, where there'll be times when you're not busy, absolutely. But for the most part, you get your computer screen, but you will be compensated for that time. Granted, when you get paid, you still have to pay your taxes again, and you still have to, again, pay your bills for having a phone, for your travel, things like that. They'll reimburse you. So it's a nice place to be depending on where you are. But if you're a person that likes consistent stability, stay full time. You don't have to contract. Yeah, I understand. Stay full time. You don't have to contract. But if you like the fast paced movement, and if you like to, touch different projects, because when you're a contractor,
Yeah.
they'll have projects, you'll go to another company, and the dynamic is different. And if you like just having different experiences, then 100% go for it. I think you should.
I love how you just put that, because that's the truth. Like, I've honestly before, like I was going to say in my younger days,
You're so
I'm so,
young.
I'm going to
We're
claim it. But yeah, I definitely used to be like, oh, like I would love to like be a contractor, but I see what contractors do. Like, I see, because we work with them. We work with them, and I see like, oh, you are earning your coin. Like, you are earning your monies for being here. And so it doesn't work for me, but you are correct. If you're interested in that dynamic of new things, because I love new things. So that was why I was like, oh, can I do it? Because I get bored easily. And then I'm like, what's the next
right,
thing
right.
that we can do? But yeah, I think it's important to highlight like those caveats with like finances, taxes, all that stuff. And I love that you shared that here, because people are confused.
Yeah. About contracting is, it's one of those things where it's a case by case by case basis. Like, you really don't, even when they tell you, it's like you have to be ready. That's why it's good. I always tell people too, when you're first coming in, you need to be full time, because as a contractor, your training is different. They're going to throw you right in. Like, there is no
Oh,
training
okay.
thing, because, well, you're supposed, usually contractors, they have at least that 5 year mark. At the 5 year mark, you're a pro at what you do. And so you can come in, even though you may not know the environment, you're still able to understand the processes to get the work done. And you know what to ask for to get the work done. You know how to get the things you need to do your job. And so I think you need to be a little bit more seasoned, I would say, if you want
Okay.
in your role, so you can understand, because they will, first week isn't onboarding. First week is, hey, here's everything we need you to do. Go ahead
Yeah.
and let me know if you have any questions. So it's more independent. Like I said, it's definitely more independent.
Wow. So that was a great tip. That was a great point. I didn't even think about that. Um, so I also am just curious, being in this space. So cybersecurity is like fairly new-ish, I feel like. And I've seen online that there's just a lot of people, getting certified in it and trying to move into that space. And I'm curious, what is it like being a Black woman in that space? And like how is your experience with that at these different places that you go?
Sure. So it's crazy. Until recent, because of Clubhouse and other things that have brought us together during the pandemic, I would be the only Black woman in spaces. I'm not even gonna lie to you.
Yeah.
I'm so used to it. It's kind of one of those conversations that I don't even have because I already know I'm going to be the only Black person for the most part, not even woman, but Black person in these spaces, just because of exposure. So it's definitely good to see the change and seeing more women of color in that phase. I have met some dope, amazing women in this last year, um, through, again, Clubhouse and social media and starting my brand. And I'm like, oh, I'm not by myself. And so it's great because we're able to talk and understand each other. And there's a lot of brilliant women, and we're talking about Black women, I'm talking about women in general too, that I'm like, wow, you're amazing, like, how did you get here? And so we just kind of share our stories, and a lot of us actually have similar stories, and how we got there. It's kind of like, we don't know how we got here, but we're here. And so I would say, if you are a woman, a Black woman getting into the space, a person of color getting into the space, there are a lot of tools. There's so much support out there. Just my first advice to you is to find out the one place you want to be in cybersecurity. Cybersecurity is not new; it's just new to the everyday person, right? Technology has been out. There has always been a need to protect it. It's just now that I think they said 3.2 billion users have a smartphone, around that number, and the projection is going to get higher every year. Now that there are more people, that's why we hear about it more. That's why it's a big topic. That Target breach happened, what, 7 years ago, 6 years ago, and from there, everyone just starts to understand, oh, my information being found in a breach is actually a big deal. So it's kind of one of those things that are evolving. And just find out where you want to be in cybersecurity, and you don't have to be stuck, but it is good to know one specific thing so you can stick to that and be an SME in that subject. But like I told you before, I'm a Jill of all, master of none. I can risk assessment, I can audit. Oh, if I have to, I can code. Please don't put me there. But please don't put me there. I'm not going to apply there. But yeah, it's one of those things where you don't have to put yourself in a box, but just understand your personality, know what you can do on the day to day, and then go from there.
Nice. Love it. Now, I think that the pandemic is honestly what sparked us to start STEM to Stars, just because we were like, what else are we doing? Let's go for it. It's now or never, right? So yeah, I think the pandemic brought out a lot of, positivity in terms of connecting with other people, especially other people that look like us and in this space. And so that's awesome. I'm curious also about what sparked you to start Cybher Sister. Tell us about that and tell us, like, what's the story behind it and where can we follow you?
Sure, sure. So Cyber Sister was created because I'm an empath. So in the work that I do, eh, when I see that those breaches happen, I know what is supposed to happen behind the scenes, or what could have happened behind the scenes to prevent it from happening. A lot of the times it could be, most of the times when an attack happens, it's an employee hitting a phishing email. So as an auditor, one of the things I look at is, did you train your employees? How does your information security program look? Are you doing phishing simulations? Do you have a great policy to where your employees are educated on what that looks like, no matter what their age range is? Is your CEO not the one clicking on the phishing email? I mean, it goes. So being on that side, I have seen it, and doing the job, I'm like, man, I wish I could prevent this. But the thing is, learning that no matter how hard, even when companies are on their A game, right? No matter how hard they try, excuse me, it's still up to you as an individual to know how to protect yourself, i.e., having a password that's at least for me 10 characters in length, according to one of the best practices, 12 characters depending on, again, the criticality of what you have on your system, making sure your passwords aren't the same, the importance of a VPN, the importance of not connecting to an unsecured network, making sure that your Wi-Fi, you change your the sorry, I can't think. You change the help me out here. I can't think right now. I'm going blank. The admin password that comes with it. I can't think the dumb. Anyways, you change your password that comes with it. The default. Thank you. I'm like, why can't I think of that? I've said that 4 times today. You change the default password when you're using your Wi-Fi. Make sure you're not, sharing any passwords with anyone. So I'm on the more personal side of things with Cybher Sister. I want to work with the everyday person, no matter how old you are, no matter what you look like, to ensure that you as an individual are educated on what you need to know so that when you are online, because everything we do now is online, you're safe and you as an individual are minimizing your risks. So for me, that's where Cyber Sister came from. Same thing. I've seen people who have had their identity stolen, and it is really one of the saddest things. Actually, one of the people who helped me push my brand, her identity was stolen at the time. And seeing what she was going through, so feeling that personally really pushed me to start Cyber Sister, because it's not something that I would wish on my worst enemy. It's terrible. So it's one of those things where I just want everyone to know the basics. We should all know the basics. I was speaking on another podcast for a nonprofit that helps children, educate children on just everyday safety of everything. And I mentioned, being online is like the new learning how to drive. So I just want to teach people how to drive online, going to driving school, knowing that you can make a right on red, but you should not make a left on red, so things like that allow people to be comfortable so they're not intimidated by technology, because once you're intimidated, you'll stay away from it and you'll be a victim. So that's where it came across. And you can find me on Instagram, Cybher Sister. It's on my name down there. And then you can also find me on Facebook. So those are my two handles right now. We're expanding. But that is literally where I am. So go follow me. I'm actually taking a sabbatical right now, but I'll be back in July. Mental health comes first. So my brand doesn't just cover that, it covers the psychology of technology too and how it can affect you. So your digital wellness. So making sure that you're stepping away from your phone and not getting addicted and not being used to that. I think that we were talking about the instant gratification that technology can give you. So we're going to cover a lot of things. So I'm really excited about it.
I love it. Thank you so much for sharing your story with us. Thank you so much for telling us about cybersecurity. Thank you for being the first person on our show who's into cybersecurity. It has been awesome. And we will put your handles and everything in the description bar below. Please, 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 people, go follow her, connect with her online. And what we love to do here is to inspire other people who are interested in these spaces. And so I don't know if you're open, but if there's a young person out there who wants to get involved with cybersecurity, could they connect with you for you to answer just a couple questions?
The thing about me is, while my brand is for educating people, I have met some amazing people who their job or their brand is getting people into tech. So if I do not know the answer to your question, I will definitely put you in contact with someone that can get you fixed up. So absolutely, please don't hesitate. Feel weird about popping in my DMs, asking questions. I answer questions all day. I am here as a source to get you in tech, because we have, at this point, I think they said what 1.3 million unfilled cybersecurity roles. So we
Wow.
need people to get on board. So yeah, ask me questions, and if I can't answer it, I will definitely put you in contact with someone who can help you out.
Wonderful. You heard it here, STEM Sisters. You got another sister out there in cybersecurity. Connect with her if you are interested. Thank you guys so much for rocking with us for this video. Don't forget to hit like. And as the ticker at the bottom here says, now's a good time to hit the subscribe button. If you've watched all the way to this point, please, please, please subscribe and comment below. Let us know if you've had any cybersecurity issues, or if you learned something today, let us know. So thank you guys so much, and we will talk to you later. Bye.
Bye. Thanks for having me. You'll have a great weekend. Bye.